Hello and welcome back to the final part of ChatterBox, and we're joined by one of the country's most successful trainers, Jamie Moore. Jamie, I know you're on a bit of a roll right now. Two brilliant wins in the space of 8 days, obviously for Jack Catterall and of course Chantelle Cameron. Now we'll talk about Jack in a minute, but let's talk about that famous night in Dublin.
Yeah, well, obviously it's going to be up there with one of the best we'll ever have as a gym. It was unbelievable night, a great fight as well, which I thought it would be. But I got right back to 4.5 years ago when Chantelle came to us. I always thought that she had the style to beat Katie, and so it proved.
Now, Katie was very gracious in defeat. I think at that time, I think she knew she'd been beaten by the better fighter.
Yeah, I think you can tell body language, is a big part of stuff like that. I never expected anything different from Katie. She's a phenomenal athlete, great person. I thought that both of them came across really well in that little documentary that went out before the fight. So I think, she was definitely gracious in defeat, and Chantelle, very quietly spoken, doesn't really say much, but she certainly let the actions speak for her.
We all know, Jimmy, how important someone like Katie has been to the sport and helped put it on the world stage and the global stage. But she's 36, 37 in July. Are you surprised that she's pushing for the rematch with Chantelle?
Yeah, I am, but I don't expect anything different from Katie. And I was talking about this yesterday with Nige. If you think about some of the stuff she was saying in the build-up about how proud she is of the legacy she's leaving, and she doesn't feel it's important for her, but she's doing it for the next generation, so that she loves seeing gyms full of little girls training and stuff. Like, if she walks away now after losing her first fight as a professional, probably doesn't fit in with what she's doing to encourage kids, and that message, what would then be? The first time you lose, you walk away.
Carl, I understand you actually sparred Chantelle back in the day. And when you sparred her, do you realise that she was going to be something special?
I'd done a wee bit of sparring with Chantelle. We'd done some stuff, a bit of body sparring, and it was a few rounds, wasn't there, Jimmy? It was a few rounds. I'm not sure how many. It wouldn't have been loads, but
Yeah.
What I remember from any sparring session with Chantelle was, and I've done stuff with Katie, and to be honest, throughout my career, I've done sparred a number of girls probably, but I don't ever remember hitting as hard as Chantelle, and that's really what surprised me about when I did spar. Her strength was far superior than any other that I'd ever shared the ring with.
Yeah, I have to spar with lads regular. Akib Fiaz is one of the main guys in our gym who spars her on a regular basis, because you just can't get the type of quality sparring you need for it to get a full, hard session a lot of the time with the girls. So she's a phenomenal fighter, and we always knew that. And that what happened last Saturday just sort of reconfirmed that for us.
We've got to talk about nicknames because your gym has some special ones. Because Chantelle is nicknamed Il Capo and Jack Catterall is nicknamed El Gato. Where did those two nicknames come about?
Well, El Gato, Jack already had El Gato before he came to our gym. So that was already done.
He done a lot of, sorry to jump in, Jimmy, but then he remember Jack long time ago was in Mexico, or in America, sorry, sparring Canelo when he was based in the States.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where maybe that's where that connection came.
Well, it's probably because he's got cat-like reflexes. Yeah. I'm not joking. That's probably where it comes from. But and he sparred Mayweather as well. I think he was Mayweather's sparring partner when he was fighting Pacquiao. So he had so much experience at a young age. In them circumstances, you must pick up so much, absorb so much, being around them type of fighters. So it's stood him in good stead, obviously, in the long run. But so El Gato was already a thing for Jack. Chantelle, when she came to our gym, wanted a fresh start, and she wanted a new nickname. My missus sort of came up with it. She did a bit of research, and she was like, she's a boss. That's what she sort of used to say about her. She said she's a boss, like a boss lady, and she did a bit of research, seeing what names she could come up with, and that was the best one which she came up with. So it stuck. Chantelle liked it straight away, and it stuck.
It definitely beats some of the nicknames I got at school, let me tell you that. Now, last weekend, obviously, last weekend, Jack made his comeback, obviously, with an impressive win against Sarah Foley after being out there, what was about a year and 3 months. Now, how long did it take you both to get over the decision against Josh Taylor, when I think the majority of the boxing world, anyone you spoke to, Twitter, social media, thought Jack won that fight and should be taken over?
Yeah. Listen, I was devastated for Jack at the time. It was obviously for him, to be honest with you. I was on the phone to him a couple of days on the trot, and he could hear in his voice, he was really sort of downbeat about it. The third day, when I spoke to him, you could see he had a bit of energy about his voice, and was like, you sound different today. I was swollen, sorry. I said, you sound a bit different today, and he was like, you know what? I'm not letting this get me down now. I just need to crack on. Hopefully we'll get a rematch. And then it dragged on and dragged on. And for whatever reason, it's not happened, but it's in the past. And he performed unbelievably well on Saturday against a good, solid opponent. He's shown a bit of everything. And I think this is probably the best time for him now. He's not got a lot of miles on the clock, Jack. So he's 30 this year. He's 30 soon. And he's probably got another 3 or 4 years where he'll be in his prime. He really looks after himself, and I think he's going to be involved in some huge fights over the next few years.
I think that Josh Taylor, I have a feeling that Josh Taylor probably stops Teofimo Lopez, and it's probably not much of a consolation to Jack, but then it just kind of clarifies to everybody how good a fighter that Jack Catterall is. They know it anyway, but it's just a bit more recognition, I suppose.
Yeah, I think, listen, I've no doubt Josh understands, Jack's a world-class fighter. He'll never say it. Why would he? They've got that rivalry between each other. But for me, that's a good thing in boxing. If people who create rivalries, generally, the profile's increased, the wages increase, in the long run. So if this scenario unfolds, which I think it could do, and Jack can pick up a world title over the next sort of 6 months, and Josh is still around, it makes the rematch so much bigger than it would have been if he was going straight back into it. So everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that.
Now, you've spoken about the gym being and having had some incredible fighters in it. I want to talk about maybe some of your proudest moments, your finest moments. And for me, obviously, Rocky Fielding winning the world title and then fighting Canelo, that must be up there as a huge moment, a very proud moment. And of course, our very own Carl Frampton. How was it working with Carl?
We had some great times with Carl. We had some bad nights as well, but we had some great times overall, and it's all a positive for me. It was a privilege to work with him. Don't want to blow smoke up his backside while he sat there, but he's a great man. Lovely to have around, and it was a privilege for him to come and train with us. Rocky in Germany, so he was brand new as a gym, really, only really just starting out. Even with Carl, really, when he first came, but it sort of worked, and Rocky got that opportunity, and we went over to Germany and against all the odds and pulled it off, and it was that will always be one of the best ones up there. But I've got to say, last week what happened in Dublin will always be right up at the top, because you don't get much bigger than that.
Yeah, without putting words in their mouth, Jamie, I think, and although you've had bigger wins in terms of what the titles meant, but Tommy Coyle and doing what he done, because I know how special Tommy is to you and how much of a relationship you guys have. That's gotta almost mean as much as the big nights as well. You know what I mean, or maybe more even.
Well, do you know what? Like I said to you about titles. I mean, the occasion last week was what made it so special. But the stuff what we did with Tommy and getting him a Commonwealth title, I'm devastated I wasn't able to be in the corner that night, because we was boxing Donaire. But just the stuff what he says to us about how we changed him as a person, and made him a better man and stuff like that. That means more to me really than even titles. So, you know, Sean McGoldrick, we've just had Sean McGoldrick win the British and Commonwealth title. You know, he's got a horrendous hand injury, came back from that. The game plan, it was the most complex game plan we ever had to come up with to get him through that fight because of his injury. And he's come back through it, and he's now British and Commonwealth champion. So things like that, where you're helping people fulfill lifelong dreams, just unbelievable. Sean doesn't have to box; he's doing it because he loves it, and you know that type of achievement, no one can ever take that away from him now, and that's it. It's written in the history books. So, like I say, it's about trying to help people fulfill their dreams, and that's what makes me happy. So it's a win.
Here's another one. Here's another one for you. Mark Leach winning a British title, because it would have been a hard task for anyone to get Mark at a stage to do from couch to 5K. He was that lazy, didn't like training, but he's unbelievably talented fighter.
He's still that lazy, but you know he's a phenomenally talented fighter, unbelievably talented, and I'm begging him. I'm saying, Mark, please come in the gym and get busy, because no one's going to give you 6 or 8 weeks notice for a fight because you're that good. They'll try and get you on 3, and hopefully you won't be fit. And you know, I don't want him to be that fighter sat in Kershaw Social Club in Salford when he's 50 years old saying, I should have been a world champion. Because, you know, if he doesn't sort of get in the gym and get busy, he will be that guy, and I don't want that to happen for him.
Some incredible stories and some great memories, I'm sure, coming flooding back. Now, you gave high praise to Carl. Now, Carl, I'm sure you got great things to say about Jamie. How was it working with him?
It was amazing. Like when I teamed up, it was my dad suggested to me about training with Jamie after I'd split with the McGuigans, and Jamie, I think at the time, was maybe only training Tommy Coyle, maybe Martin Murray as well. I'm not sure, but I had a few names in my head of people that I wanted to train with. And then my dad suggested Jamie. Jamie was the first port of call. He was the first one that I contacted and asked, you know, for a trial and go and see how it was for a week or so. And I mean, after a couple of days, it just felt right. And I never actually reached out to anybody else. And that was my decision made. And obviously, I came to Jamie at the end of my career. I think I may have been 30 or 29 anyway when I teamed up with Jamie and Nige. But one of the regrets that I have is not winning a world title with him, boys, because I know I would have if I'd have teamed up with them earlier. That's all. If I had started my career with them guys, I'd have done the same, and then probably had a bit more longevity in my career, if I'm being honest. But look, it is what it is. I was happy I went there in the end.
That's all we've got time for in this episode of ChatterBox. Jamie, it's been fascinating talking to you and hearing the stories. It's been great to go back down memory lane. And of course, Carl, thanks as always. And thanks to our other guests, Frank Warren and Joe Jones.